Hi there, it's Sarah at Get Weaving. One of the questions I'm often asked, which I'm going to try and address today, is how do I choose what I'm going to make? How do I get started? So I thought I'll show you some of my starting points. One of them is a new purchase. Friends of mine and I went to the Summer Wool Festival in Bedford a couple of weeks ago. 2-day event, wonderful. Lots of familiar faces, some new stands as well. I've got this wonderful sari silk fibre, which I'm spinning at the moment. And I went through my stash and I found out that I've got some of this lovely recycled sari silk yarn and some viscose and some of this like ladder yarn and not sure what that is. I'll have to look at the label. Cotton, I think, and some silk. Now, obviously, these are all different thicknesses. I'll put a photograph up in a minute. So I'm going to use a variable reed, which is one of these things. I've separated it. So it all comes in sections, and I think it goes from 2.5 to the inch to 15. So I'm going to set this up to make a top with all those different yarns in the warp, and then the hand spun sari silk will be the weft. So I'm trying to spin, I think I've got 300 grams. I'm going to spin it and use it as a singles. So I might make a sample first. Now the thing about the variable reed, it's absolutely fine to use all these different yarns so long as they're flat. So this viscose ribbon is wonderful. The ladder yarn is wonderful. This recycled sari silk will be fine. What you can't do is put a thick yarn in, because as your warp goes around the back beam, the thick yarn takes up more space, and then as you weave, the tension will change. So I make sure all of the yarns that I'm going to use are flat first. So that's one possible starting point, is a new fibre or a new yarn. Something else that I try to do is replace some of my favourite garments. Now I like very soft unlined jackets. They feel kind of more like a cardigan to me. People often ask me why I don't put linings in. Well, that's one of the reasons, but I am going to do something later on about how to add a lining if you want to. So this pattern here, they're all unlined. They're very soft, very comfortable. And then I've added an extra sheet in here because I made one with a collar and a button band, which the button band is knitted. So they're all very soft. I just prefer the feel of those sorts of things. So, yep, replacing jackets, then zip ups. So this is JA013, two different versions, and this one is T009. So that's got raglan sleeves. But those are both winter ones. So again, at the Wool Festival, I bought some organic cotton, or recycled, I beg your pardon, recycled cotton. This is for the weft, and some more of this lovely viscose ribbon. So this will be the warp. So I'm going to start weaving some cotton summer, well, maybe all year round actually, because cotton fleeces you can wear all year round. So those I might line, but it'll be with something like cotton lawn, something really fine. It's just really to stop the wind getting through. Then I've always worn dungarees, and I thought I must be able to make a pair. So I've made this pattern, and I've got some dungarees. That was the fabric. That's a sort of stripy one. Very comfortable anyway. So that's something else I try and do, is just replace some of my most favourite garments. Now, for years, I've been working on a pattern. It's this one from Simply Woven. It's all squares and rectangles. That's how we started out. So the only bit that's cut out is the neckline. Now, these were all made to fit us. So that's about a size 12, I think. But I'm trying to work a multi-size pattern out, which is proving a bit more interesting than I thought. I'm getting there. So again, I bought this beautiful yarn. This is rayon from a lady at the Wool Festival. Beautiful colours, all shiny. I just saw that and thought I had to do something with that. And then I found somebody who was selling this organic bamboo. So this will be, actually, I haven't decided which one's going to be which. I think this will be the warp and this will be the weft. I'm not sure yet. I haven't got that far. I'm still working on the pattern shapes at the moment. So still simple shapes. I still prefer that, just to show off these beautiful yarns. So that's something else, is when I'm trying to develop a new pattern, that's sometimes the starting point. So it starts with a lot of drawings and bits of paper and chopping things up and then making a mock-up, and then I'll do the weaving, and that'll be the next bit. Another starting point is sometimes another item of clothing that I've got and I want to make something to go with it. As daft as it sounds, I found these shoes. I'll put a picture of them later on. They're woven. Absolutely wonderful. I thought I have to make something to go with these. They're really comfortable. So this is the dress I made. This is DR012. It's like sort of dungarees top and a skirt, and very colourful. Cotton for the warp, and then a cotton ribbon in grey for the weft. So it went really nicely with the shoes. I wore it the other day. It's another favourite. I want to make another version of this, slightly shorter. That one was lined, but it's got bound edges, so it probably doesn't need lining. Sometimes a starting point is a new piece of equipment. So way back in 2009, I think, when I got my first knitter's loom, it's the 12-inch one, because that's the size that Ashford were making then. So I wanted to see what I could make on that loom, and that's how this pattern came about. That's DR001. That was my first pattern that I made available. It's 8-inch wide pieces, 3 panels at the front, 3 at the back, with go days, and I've made loads of tops and things on the same pattern, so there's an extra sheet that goes with that. It's really, really useful, and I do try, if I can, to use a pattern lots and lots of times to make something different. This is another one, you've seen this probably. This was my colour blending one. So this was from T002, but it's cut sideways. Now this, so that was the warp. So that's the fabric, in other words. It's just a long scarf, and then you've got 2 sections joined together. So again, that was made on the 12-inch knitter's loom. So I think it's nice, rather than just buying more and more and more patterns and more equipment, to try and use what I've already got and adapt it somehow. I have to admit, though, I did buy a warping mill. So I wound off lots of warps while it was set up. It's an Ashford one. I had it standing on the table. So I've got about 10 warps wound. I have no idea when I'm going to weave all these things, but anyway, so this is one of them. This is for a pair of short dungarees. So like my dungarees pattern, that one there, I'm going to make the short version probably next year now. So I've wound off, I had a lot of 4-ply cottons. So that's the warp. The weft will probably just be white or yellow, something like that. I might be putting this in a floor loom because there's quite a lot of it and it's quite fine. I think it's probably 15 to the inch, so it might even be 3-ply. I'd have to look at my notes. Another starting point for me is having a dyeing day. My friend Elizabeth is setting everything up next week, and there are going to be three of us dyeing the same colours on a white fleece and a grey fleece, so we get a clear, sharp colour and then a much more muted one. So I bought a fleece at the Wool Festival, which is a merino Shetland cross. It's kind of beige and grey, absolutely beautiful. So we're going to dye that. And then I had a Portland fleece that I've had for a long time, but it's really lovely. So we're going to use those. And then I'm going to make possibly an outfit, maybe a jacket and a skirt, or a top and a skirt, or something like that. So watch this space. It'll be another project. Often what I'm trying to do is make a replacement for something that's really comfortable. So I had a pair of trousers from, oh, I can't remember, years ago, a shop. They weren't expensive. They were so comfortable, I took them to pieces and used them as a sort of starting point. So that's where that pattern came from. That's TR001. Really comfortable, elasticated waist, big pockets. So there's shorts and a pair of trousers on there. I'm going to make these again. I've got some fabric ready to go. And then these ones here, which I'm actually wearing today, these pink ones, have got a flat front and an elasticated back, which are great because a lot of the things I do, unfortunately, are sitting down, spinning, weaving, sewing, going out on my bicycle. So my trousers have to be comfortable. I find the flat front and the elasticated back works really well for me. And it's still comfortable in the evening. That's the other thing. It's no good having something that's fine when you're standing up and no good when you sit down. This one here, this was a sort of design thing. I wanted to make something that worked sideways. So if you can see the layout on the back, the jacket itself, again, very little waist. So the sleeve and the body are in one. So the warp runs from side to side. And then I added a knitted collar later on. It's got bound front edge and a buttoned tab. So sometimes I just think, right, I wonder if I could do something, and that's where it starts from. This is another one. This is a bias top. So this is T011. I wanted to make a top that was comfortable, not too baggy, because obviously hand weaving doesn't stretch. It doesn't have elastine in. Well, mine doesn't. So some of my early things were probably, well, like this, very loose, because you put it on over your head, or I do. It's got to have enough room so that you're not worried about basically the seams giving out. So I used to make them probably bigger than they needed to be, but then it's fine because it's hot at the moment. So this one, the fabric, it's all cut on the bias. I stitched 3 widths together so you can make a feature of the seams. That's something else that was quite fun to do, or sometimes they don't even show. Now, the only thing is, you have to make sure when you cut all these bits out that you put labels on and everything is the right way around, because it's very easy to twist the sleeve otherwise. So I just cut things out and I label everything. And then when I put it together, there's a fair chance it might work. During lockdown, which seems a weird, distant memory now, thank goodness, I was early on, I was, well, like most people, a bit fed up. So I sent off some fibre from the Wheel U, and these were the colours I chose. So I got these 2 beautiful boxes of tops in the post, and that was joyful just to open the boxes when we couldn't go out and see anybody and talk to anybody. So I thought I quite fancy making a suit. So essentially, it's got the drum carder in this order. I don't know if it really mattered, but that's what I've been doing. And then this is how it looks when it's spun. So that's spun and plied. And then I did 2 samples. This was weaving. It's all on a cotton warp, a sort of mixed cotton warp. This one was weaving with singles. This one was weaving with it plied, and I actually prefer the plied one. And I'm going to make a jacket and a skirt. I think it'd be quite nice to have an outfit instead of making one thing and then not having anything to wear with it. So the jacket, probably panelled, and I've been watching the Great British Sewing Bee. Oh my goodness, their ideas are fantastic. And there was one week where they were working with fabrics from Africa, and there's a jacket called Kenti, I believe. I hope I got that right. And they're tops with godays in, and apparently the bigger the goday, the more important you are. So I quite fancy coming up with a jacket pattern with these godays in. And then the skirt, I want to make flared. I've been thinking about this for a while. It might be on a yoke. It might be made sideways. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to have a think about that. But yeah, that was my beginning of my lockdown project. I will get back to it soon. I don't fancy spinning wool at the moment, so it's going to have to wait until the winter. This jacket here, this was just to use up a stash of hand spun wool that I had. I set this up when we were going to a show, probably Wonderwool Wales or Woolfest in Cumbria, and a lot of people who go there are spinners, more weavers now, I'm happy to say. And again, it's what can I do with all those bits of leftover yarn that I have from perhaps a knitted project. So deliberately none of the colours match, none of the stripes match, and then I've picked out an orange for the top of the pockets and a narrow band to go around the top. So again, sometimes it's just to, you look at all these leftover bits, so you've got a bit of this and a bit of that, what can I do with them? So yeah, something like that works really nicely. And funny enough, that little bit of weaving around the top there is some silk and wool, which I dyed, and that was a remnant from a piece of fabric that I wove. I made a jacket and a dress to wear to my son and daughter-in-law's wedding. I was very chuffed. It was really comfortable. The dress has a lace top and a woven skirt, and then there was a woven jacket over the top. I thought, well, I really should be wearing what I weave. Another way of starting a project is from a photograph, which I often do. This top that I'm wearing originally was called Blue Skies, and this is a kind of information sheet that used to go with it when we were going out. So, I mean, we live right near the coast, so I'm always taking photographs. So these are the shells on the beach and seagulls and the view along the beach from where we were sitting. And then these were the yarns, quite a mixture, some fine, some bobbly, used all sorts of things. The other day I was out in the front garden and we have some hollyhocks which are self-seeded, and there are 6 different colours. Weirdly, the palest ones by the road, the darkest ones at the back near the garage. So they go through from white to a really deep pink. So I've got a photo of them and I can feel a project coming on. So that's about it really. They're most of my starting points, I think. I don't make things for competitions. If I have something and there's a competition and I'll put it in, that's fine. But I don't find I enjoy doing that very much. I do like having a deadline though. I've realised it's the only way to make me get things finished. At the moment I have 4 looms set up with with weaving on. 1, 2, yeah, 4 at the moment. I've got about 10 warps wound. I've got about 6 pieces of fabric to be made up, but it's fine. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. So today I'm wearing T001, which is so comfortable, and the pink trousers TR010 with the flat front and the elasticated back. I hope that might help somebody get a project started. In the background on my dress dummy is a sort of tabard, and I've put bits of woven fabric on it. So one of my videos is going to be, I can't sew, I don't want to cut my fabric up, I don't know what to do. So it's just going to be some little sort of starting points that you could do that don't require too much sewing skill, because I've been doing this for a long time. But I bumped into some very nice ladies at the Summer Wool Festival, and they said, we have just started, we've retired from work, and we are literally just starting. So I thought it's important that there are some kind of inroads, if you like, easy ways in. Not everybody's going to want to weave a piece of fabric and make a garment. That might be a bit of a stretch to start with. So it's, how do you start? In actual fact, I wouldn't mind making one of these. It's got open sides and tabs. I got this when I was clearing my mum's house out. She used to do a lot of amateur dramatics. It didn't have the patches on then, but I think probably she played a cook or maid or something in a play somewhere or another, and I think this was her costume. So I'm very pleased with this. I might actually weave a version of it, and I think it'd be quite nice. It could go over the top of a t-shirt and a pair of trousers or something like that. So something else. It's quite nice as well. Bottom bit's shaped. I might do that as go days. Here we go again. Anyway, thanks for listening. Have a good day. Bye now.